It was a quiet night at the remote research facility when Dr. Allen first encountered SCP-096's gaze. He had read the reports, of course, how anyone who saw its face would be hunted, no matter the distance or time. But he never thought he'd be the one to make the mistake. Dr. Allen had spent years studying anomalies, meticulously avoiding the dangers outlined in their files. SCP-096 was no exception. Its face was a forbidden sight, a puzzle no one could solve without paying the ultimate price. That night, however, protocol failed him. The facility's hum was soothing, almost lulling him into complacency as he entered the security room. He didn't even think as his eyes scanned the monitors. Most showed static or empty corridors. But then his gaze fell on the live feed of SCP-096's containment chamber. Dr. Allen froze. The creature sat huddled in the corner, its bony back heaving with silent sobs. For the first time in recorded history, its face was fully visible. Gaunt and pale, it bore an expression of despair so raw, so deeply human, that it pierced through Allen's professional detachment. It wasn't just a monster. It was suffering. A chill ran down his spine as SCP-096 slowly turned its head. It looked directly at the camera. His heart sank. It saw him. The creature's head snapped upward, and its mouth twisted into a gaping maw of anguish. A blood-curdling scream erupted through the facility's speakers, so loud and guttural it seemed to shake the very walls. Dr. Allen stumbled back, his breath coming in short, panicked gasps. He knew what came next. Footsteps, heavy, deliberate, yet impossibly fast. They echoed through the corridors, growing louder with each passing second. Allen bolted for the door, slamming his fist against the controls. The lock blinked red, unresponsive. "Override! Emergency override!" he shouted into the intercom. Static was his only reply. The footsteps stopped. Through the reinforced glass, he saw it. SCP-096 stood at the end of the hallway, its impossibly long limbs trembling as if barely containing its rage. Its hollow eyes bore into him, unblinking, unrelenting. Then it moved. The creature's body contorted as it sprinted toward the door, limbs bending at grotesque angles. The glass began to crack under the force of its blows. Allen stumbled back, his mind racing for a plan. There was no protocol for this, no escape. But then something unexpected happened. A haunting whisper echoed in his mind, low and mournful. "You saw me." The voice wasn't external. It came from within him, threading through his thoughts like a razor's edge. It was filled with sadness, anger, and something else. Something ancient. The room went black. When Dr. Allen woke, he was no longer in the facility. The air was cold and damp, carrying the scent of earth and decay. He sat up, his head pounding, and realized he was in a cavern. The walls were lined with crude carvings, faces, thousands of faces, all screaming silently. A soft sobbing echoed in the darkness. He turned, his breath hitching. There, kneeling in the center of the cavern, was SCP-096. But it didn't attack. It didn't move. It only wept. Dr. Allen's terror gave way to a gnawing curiosity. Why was he alive? Why bring him here? The creature looked up, its gaunt face illuminated by a faint, otherworldly glow. For a moment, Allen thought he saw something in its eyes, a flicker of recognition. "Why?" Allen managed to choke out, his voice trembling. The creature tilted its head, as if pondering his question. Then it raised a single, spindly finger and pointed at the carvings. Allen realized with horror what they represented. They weren't just random faces. They were memories. Victims. SCP-096's voice echoed in his mind once more, softer this time. "Do you understand?" He did. It wasn't just a creature. It was a prisoner of its own curse, forced to hunt and kill anyone who glimpsed its face, no matter how much it hated itself for it. But why had it spared him? Before he could ask, the cavern began to shake. The walls crumbled and the glow intensified. SCP-096 rose to its feet, its sobs replaced by a guttural growl. It turned toward him one last time. "Run," the voice said, echoing through his skull like thunder. Alan didn't need to be told twice. As he fled into the blinding light, he couldn't help but wonder if he'd been spared or marked.